One park that I didn't miss, thankfully, was the La Fontaine Park. Gosh, that park is just gorgeous. Filled with locals. Yes, I'm sure there's a couple tourists, but I feel like a lot of tourists miss it. It's just a gorgeous park.
Olá pessoal, sejam bem-vindos ao meu canal. Meu nome é Natália, mas você pode me chamar de Nath. Eu adoro reagir e aprender sobre outros países, especialmente aqueles bem diferentes do meu em termos culturais e econômicos. Então, se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, fique à vontade para se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. Bom, nesse vídeo eu vou reagir a 31 dicas que eu queria saber antes de visitar Montreal, no Canadá. Então é isso, sem mais delongas, e vamos para a reação.
I just spent a full month in Montreal, and it was one of my favorite cities on earth, but I did make quite a few mistakes, so I'm going to share everything that I learned with you today. I'm going to talk about some general tips that might save you some money, some places that a lot of tourists just end up missing, best food recommendations, best coffee stuff, which area of town you might want to stay in depending on what you're looking for. We're going to cover it all, so just stick with me. First thing to know is that when you land in Montreal, you're going to realize, oh no, there's actually not a metro that's going to take you from the airport to downtown. Instead, there's a bus, and you can decide for yourself if you want to spend the $11 on the bus or splurge a little bit for the Uber. We splurged for the Uber, but this is just a temporary fix. They are building a metro that they say is going to be done in 2027. So if you're visiting 2027 and beyond, hopefully that's going to be your best option. But for us, the Uber was great. You make the call though, depending on your budget. Second thing to note, which is great news, is that once you are downtown, the best way to get around is the metro. It is really safe. It's used by everybody. There's not a stigma against public transit like in the US. It's how all the locals are going to get around, and you shouldn't have any fear to use it. Now, a couple tips around using it. If you're in town for just a day or two, you probably are just going to want to buy tickets once you're there. There are these kiosk machines where you can buy, and they're really simple, but you can always go to these little stands where there's an attendant who will help you purchase a ticket if you feel like you need it. Now, if you're there for a little bit longer, like me, you might want to recommend picking up something like an Opus card. This is basically one of those reloadable cards. It does cost $6 to activate, but if you are there for that longer period of time, you can kind of get a discount on loading up like more trips like in bulk. So I picked this up and it was fantastic. You just got to decide how much you're going to use the metro. And one last thing to note about the public transit, because I made a mistake here, is when you do scan in and you're waiting for your train, you might be wondering, hey, when's the train actually going to get here? And you'll notice if you look hard enough, there are a couple TVs. They're really small and they're pretty old, but it will also show how long until the train will arrive. So I know it's a little bit dated, but other than that, the system really is great. A couple cultural.
Gente, agora ele falou sobre não ter o metrô que leva diretamente do aeroporto, né? Aí agora me veio na minha cabeça, o transporte, né, o trânsito aí na cidade de vocês, é muito caótico ou ele é tranquilo? Me deixe saber aqui embaixo nos comentários, porque assim, aqui onde eu vivo, ele é muito ruim, sabe? Tipo, as pessoas gastam até 3 horas para chegar no trabalho. Agora eles aumentaram as pistas, então tá um pouco melhor, mas continua ainda bem difícil.
Things that you want to know about. First, a lot of people ask, hey, I don't speak French, is that going to be a problem? The answer is no. Start with a simple bonjour, but after that, everybody does speak English, so as long as you start in the bonjour and respect their culture, I found that everybody was very kind and was more than willing to switch to English when they recognize, hey, this guy does not know French, and it shouldn't be an issue for you, so don't worry about that at all. And another thing is around tipping culture. There does seem to be a bit of tipping.
Gente, é verdade, o Canadá tem tantas coisas incríveis que ainda tem essa questão do francês. Ele diz que não é preciso falar francês, mas agora eu fiquei em dúvida. Vocês falam muito francês no dia a dia de vocês? Vocês falam mais francês do que inglês? Isso é uma coisa que eu acho muito, muito doida, muito diferente.
Tipping culture in Montreal. Around 15% seems to be more than enough, but I'll leave that up to you and locals can correct me if they feel like I'm off base there. But let's talk about some of those best areas of town that a lot of tourists just completely end up missing and I think would be a huge mistake. The first spot is this canal that cuts through like the south end of town, and this is something that is just filled with locals. It is a beautiful spot to just walk. You're right along the water. You're going to see people walking their dogs, riding bikes, just enjoying the nice weather there, and there seems to be absolutely no tourists, and I don't know why. It's probably just because it's completely off their radar, but if you are looking for a local experience, taking a walk along that canal couldn't be better. Now, something that most tourists probably have heard about is Montreal Park, And yes, it is gorgeous. It's that huge hill that overlooks the city, and you will have some phenomenal views up there. And if you do have the time, I'd really recommend not just going to
Caramba, olha que vista incrível, gente. Parece literalmente uma pintura enorme.
the top for the view. Also take some time to just walk around the park, like beautiful cemetery, beautiful paths. Like there's just a lot more to explore up there than most tourists get to see. So take that opportunity if you do have the time. Now, one place that I feel like I made a big mistake with was St. Helene's Island. It's this little island out on the river that is really popular, and I just didn't love St. Helene's, and that might be because part of it was like closed off for renovation. It just felt like, I don't know, I felt like there were more things to do in the area, and I really wish that I would have done the Boucherville Islands, like the national park that's just a little bit further up. So locals, if you've been to both, tell me if you feel like I'm off base or which one you would recommend, but just keep both of those in mind so you can do some research and decide which is best for you on your trip. Now, one park that I didn't miss, thankfully, was the La Fontaine Park. Gosh, that park is just gorgeous. Filled with locals. Yes, I'm sure there's a couple tourists, but I feel like a lot of tourists miss it. It's just a gorgeous park. Filled with people, filled with life, beautiful setting. I highly recommend you get over to that area of town, and more coming up on that later, but it's a beautiful setting and I definitely wouldn't miss that. But a lot of tourists want to know, hey, is there a local market that you'd recommend? And there seem to be two that come up in most conversations, and that is St. Jean Market and the Atwater Market. Now, I went to both, and I was expecting that I was going to like the Atwater Market a little bit more because it was a little bit further out from where the tourists normally are, but I actually think St. Jean was the far more impressive market. The Atwater Market was beautiful as well. It was just a little bit smaller, and if I had to pick one and recommend one for tourists, St. Jean is probably the place that you want to go to. Now, you might have heard of some of the different areas of town, like Plateau Montreal and Mile End, and they're both beautiful, and more on those in just a minute, but I do want to.
Gente, meu Deus, eu estou percebendo o quão sortudo vocês que vivem nessa cidade são, porque a cidade tem tudo. Tem lindas paisagens, tem um bom transporte, tem essa questão linguística de vocês que eu acho isso maravilhoso, e tem muita natureza, tipo, os parques são cheios de gente, é maravilhoso isso.
Highlight one specific street that is in that area that you probably want to hit, and that's Duluth Street. It's just magical. It's really small. It's very lively. So much to do over there. And that whole area of town, so many bookstores, so many cafes, so many just like things to go, like vintage shopping. Like that area of town has so much life and just culture to it. And one of the things that I think is so special about Montreal that I would really recommend if you have the time is just go and spend a full day in that area hopping to different coffee shops. And yes, I'll have coffee shop recommendations in a minute, but the coffee culture here is incredible because it's not about the coffee, it's about the community. And what I mean by that is you could spend all day in coffee shops just hopping from one to another and having great conversations with people you've never met before. I found that there was just a sense of community in the coffee culture that I just haven't seen anywhere else in the world quite like this. One other area that I think a lot of tourists just probably wouldn't think to explore is the university. McGill University.
Gente, é verdade isso que ele disse, que vocês têm uma cultura de café muito, muito forte. Porque eu acho isso incrível, acho os ambientes tão legais. Aqui no Rio, onde eu moro, infelizmente, isso se concentra mais em algumas áreas, sabe? Mas o brasileiro arruma um jeito de tomar algum café, numa padaria e tudo mais. Literalmente, as pessoas gostam de ir, mas essa cultura de café, esses ambientes, assim, igual eu vi no vídeo, aqui a gente não tem muito. Então, por favor, me deixe saber nos comentários, porque eu adoro isso.
Is like nestled right in the heart of downtown. It really is just so uniquely integrated and it's beautiful. You have the park right on the other side, so it's like up on this hill. It's just beautiful. So if you do have the time, walk through that and through kind of that university district. It's really beautiful, cute streets.
Gente, é muito cinematográfico.
Also, don't be afraid to visit in those winter months. I found it to be really magical. I felt like I had the streets to myself because there weren't many tourists and I was just amongst the locals. But that's not to say that you shouldn't visit in the summer, because I've heard that Montreal is just one of the coolest cities in the world in the summer, and I believe it. I hear it is so festival-oriented, again, community-oriented, so I will definitely be back in one of the summers to come, and I'm looking forward to it. But let's talk about some of those specific food recommendations, because Gosh, the food here in Montreal is exceptional. It might just be my favorite food city in North America from like value and quality. There's just so much, but obviously one food that you have to try is poutine. It's a classic up here, and there are a lot of places to try it on the
tenho
menu.
muita
One
vontade
famous
de
spot that
provar.
you'll probably see on a lot of lists is La Banquise. It is this kind of like fast foodie place that has a lot of different versions of poutine, and it was popping. There was a line, but don't worry, they flip people pretty quick. But really, you could try poutine anywhere. But another thing that I didn't completely expect are the smoked meats. And the smoked meats, if you look online, you'll probably see a lot of people recommending two places. Schwartz is the big touristy one, and then you'll see a lot of people noting Lester's and a few others that are considered more local and kind of those hidden gems. I tried all of them, or as many as I could, and I actually did feel like Schwartz was the best quality meat. There was a little bit more of a line, but I really enjoyed Schwartz. Lester's wasn't bad, but I wouldn't venture all the way out to Lester's if I had the choice between them. But hey, maybe you go try both and let me know which one you think. And then one other thing that I did not expect to love and just experience in Montreal were the bagels. And I know you're saying, wait, why are you recommending bagels? Guys, Montreal knows what the heck they're doing with their bagel game. You'll find that there's kind of a rivalry between St. Viator and Fairmont Bagels, and here's what I'll say about them.
Sério?
I'm not going to pick a winner. Like, they're both fantastic. You should visit both. They're both open late, and again, just like the bagel culture and just like comfort and community that revolves around this is just... it's just special. So if you get the opportunity, go to both of those, and then again, you can let me know which one you actually ended up liking a little bit more. Probably the biggest takeaway with the food is there's just so much diversity and so many high quality food options in the city that you're not going to go wrong. And like I said, I tried over 50. I put everything into a downloadable guide for you that you can refer back to on your trip. It's got like resources, it's got food recommendations, places, pretty much everything that is in this video and more. It's completely free. You can download it if you want. It will ask you if you want to sign up to my newsletter where I send up weekly travel tips. You can sign up for that if you want, but by no means do you have to. A couple of my favorite coffee spots, and the rest you can find on that list. The first one
Gente, agora estou em dúvida. Ele está falando sobre comida e eu sei que vocês têm a cultura francesa, é muito forte, né? Aí na cidade de vocês. Então eu queria saber se vocês comem muita comida francesa, se vende muito disso aí, ou se vocês adaptaram pratos. Por favor, me deixe saber nos comentários. Aqui no Brasil, a gente tem a influência de Portugal, mas a gente não tem muitos costumes de comer a comida portuguesa, sabe? Com exceções de alguns pratos são muito queridos pelos brasileiros. Então me deixe saber isso porque eu fiquei curiosa.
one is Spoof. And this one is in a really young, trendy area of town. It's the coffee shop that you're probably looking for. Great food options, cozy environment, just like one of those trendy young
Os
crowds where
lugares
it's
que
just
vocês têm são
comfortable. If you're
perfeitos.
looking for something that's a little bit more specialty coffee and uniqueness, I think there's a spot called White Heron that I was at constantly. Really high quality coffee, really high quality matchas, awesome ownership and some really unique products as well. But if you're looking for a spot that's more of that community oriented place, the spot where I was at all the time was a spot called Eclair. And funny enough, they don't actually serve eclairs, but one big round table, actually oval table, that everybody sits at and you drink your coffee, you talk with the barista and everybody else, and it's just, again, that community-oriented coffee culture. It's tough to beat. And one bonus one, I guess I'll throw in a fourth, is you've probably heard of Cafe Olimpico on other lists. I wouldn't necessarily go to Cafe Olimpico for their coffee. It's nothing special. But if you do go, try their cannolis.
Eles são
Their
muito
cannolis,
espaçosos.
they know what they're doing with their cannoli game, and I'm Italian, so I think I can say that, but you can be the judge of it. Their cannolis, really, really strong. And obviously it's a
Tudo que é
historic
tipo
place,
de
but all the
comida
other
vocês têm.
recommendations, again,
Incrível.
in the link down below with that free downloadable guide. I hope it's useful for you guys. But let's talk about which area of town you might want to stay in, depending on what you're looking for in your trip. And yes, of course, I'll tell you where I stayed as well. So the first area that you're probably considering is Old Town. And Old Town is great for the tourists who are maybe going to be there for a shorter period of time, anything under a week. Old Town, because it is that like old-timey, charming feel, it is a little bit more touristy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It gives you great access to the water and the port. It is a beautiful little
Nossa, mas olhando assim, eu não sei se é impressão minha, mas parece que é um lugar que é bem iluminado, né? Passa um clima realmente muito charmoso.
safe, cute area to walk around in. There's tons to do, and there's going to be that great tourist infrastructure. And this is actually where I stayed for a full month, and I loved it. probably because I stayed in this Airbnb that it was fantastic. Like, probably the most comfortable Airbnb that I've ever stayed in. It just had character. It was like all wood and stone. It felt historic. A like awesome fireplace that I got cozy
Realmente
with. I
muito
could
legal.
overlook the streets and watch all the tourists walk around. The bed was comfy. Like, this was just like the perfect Airbnb, and it's probably where I'm gonna stay every time that I go to Montreal. Truly one of the best Airbnb experiences I've had. But next place that you might be considering is downtown. And downtown is this area right here, which is really close to Old Town. I wouldn't necessarily recommend downtown for one reason, and that's there's just nothing special or unique about it. If you're looking for the uniqueness, I'd stay in Old Town. If you're looking for the more like local areas, we'll get there in a minute, but downtown is just that. It's a downtown. It's a business district, and there's plenty to do, but the streets are a little less full of life, let's say, after like 5 p.m. because people are going there for business. So just keep that in mind. You probably can find better deals elsewhere. Now, if you don't want to be around all the tourists and you don't want to be near downtown and you're willing to be in those local areas, there's a couple spots that come to mind. The first is Mile End, and that is that really trendy area of town again. You're going to have great vintage shopping, a lot of coffee shops, just tons to do, young atmosphere,
Wow.
just vibrant, just truly vibrant. And it's so hard to distinguish that from Plateau Montreal, which again is in that same
Vocês têm tudo,
general
é lugar
area.
muito
Again,
diverso.
lovely places to stay if you're looking for, one of those longer term stays. You want to be amongst the locals and you're comfortable saying, hey, I'm not actually here for the top museums. I'm not here for, everything that's on the water. I am here specifically to maybe meet friends, hang out with people in this area of town. I totally get the appeal, but in general, for any tourist, as long as your choice is between that Montreal, Mile End, or the Old Town, I think any of those three options are going to be great depending on what you're looking for. I would hesitate to stay in downtown or anywhere else that I didn't mention. And one other thing that you might be asking yourself is, hey, what about Quebec City? Is that a good day trip from Montreal? I'd say no, not as a day trip. A weekend trip, yes, it'd be a great place for a weekend trip, and I did that and I had a great time, but I made quite a few mistakes on that trip as well. Learned a lot.
Gente, que lugar perfeito! Meu Deus, parece um lugar conto de fadas. É lindo e, como dito aqui, realmente é um lugar que é vibrante, né? Você sente, assim, a atmosfera realmente muito charmosa, muito cheia de vida. Eu acho que tudo ajuda. As pessoas, parece que são todos muito simpáticos, assim, a forma como você olha, né? Nos lugares todos muito cheios. Então, me parece que é um lugar que é um pouco fácil para socializar, não sei. Me deixe saber se eu estou errada. E também a forma como tem muita natureza, tipo, a cidade tá muito assim dentro da natureza, né? É bem integrada mesmo. E isso deve fazer o clima ser muito bom, muito fresco, muito agradável. E as imagens mostram aqui também as cores das árvores parecer ser do outono, né? E fica parecendo realmente uma pintura. Fora que o comércio de vocês também me pareceu ser muito forte. Com tantas opções de coisas para fazer, me parece que é uma cidade que tem tudo para todo tipo de gente, para todo tipo de público, para todo gosto. Sem dúvida, é um lugar que eu adoraria conhecer. É um lugar que realmente traz assim um aconchego, né? Um charme. Mas bom, essa foi a minha reação. Eu espero que você tenha gostado desse vídeo. Se você gostou, considere se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. E se você já foi inscrito, não esquece de ativar as notificações. Então é isso, obrigada por assistir esse vídeo e nos vemos na próxima reação. Tchau!